Alright, and now I want to button everything up, so I have to mate the front and the rear to this. So we have the two shafts. The shorter shaft is going to be the rear shaft, so I'm just going to hold this in place. And once I do that, I'm going to bring this up, and it's in there, and this will just go right in here. Don't put the screw in. Well, I mean, you can lay it there for now, so I'll show you. You can just place it there for now, but you're going to have to remove it to install the top brace. So at this point, I'm just going to hold everything, and I'm going to go ahead and flip it. And then once I flip it, I'll grab the 4 screws, and those will go in here, and you will need your 2.5mm driver. And you can just drive them in. Remember, the rear gearbox or the differential keys into the chassis. That little rectangle right there. So just drive a screw close, don't drive it all the way. And here we go. We have this. And here we go. Now there are many brands of short course that you can get. Well, you know, Traxxas, which was the very first one. 2008, I believe. That was the Slash. It was a 2-wheel drive. But if you're looking at 4-wheel drives, Arma makes a nice vehicle. Senton, I believe it's called. Here we have the Tenacity TT Pro. You can get the SE10 Pro 4 or Pro 4 SE10 by Associated. Also a nice one. Now, this one I think is the nicer of the bunch. So I would go with the Losi TT Pro. I just think it's nicer. LCG chassis versus the Pro 4 has a bit higher center of gravity just because of the way it's made. You'll notice that the differentials are a little lower, and then it kind of dips up and then down again on the other truck versus this one. This is actually a very nice one. So we have those 4 screws in the back. Now, previous videos we had disassembled and assembled to this, so that is ready to go. Now we can work with the front. One of the things with the front, we have the steering bell crank, which we will have to do. These are brass bushings. Get ball bearings. It improves your steering tenfold. It's amazing what this steering does. One of the nice things, that's a steel piece. So that's very good. Now, I'm not going to install that yet. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. So this shaft is going to go in here. This is the longer of the two. And then we will go ahead and grab this. That will go in here. And come on. There we go. All right, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and flip it. And this key's in here as well. Now, this truck used to have a bumper, I'm pretty sure, but then something happened to it. So we're actually replacing the bumper with this RPM unit, which is pretty nice. I'm not really going to worry about this section here. We do have some hardware, so if you look at the hardware, it's the big 4 screws that we need. So it's going to be these longer screws, and then I'll leave the shorter screws for later. I'll do that at the end, toward the end. But let's go ahead and do this little section. All right. And RPM makes some very good products. So I do like a lot of their products. Let's see. So we have the spacer. Now this spacer, I believe, goes toward the rear. But let's see. I don't actually think I need this spacer. Let me just check to see if I need this spacer. Oh, this fell out of place. Give me a moment. I think I just dropped the shaft. I did. I do actually. Spacer goes in the front. There we go. Kind of. All right. Here we go. All right, so we'll stick that little spacer in the front. I just have to line it up. The holes are lined up. Fabulous. And this is pretty much a big giant skid plate. So it's a very nice construction. And the nice thing too is the other side's countersunk, so it fits right on. Really? Is it 2mm? Why would you use 2mm? All right, here we go. All right, this is actually taking a little too much effort. All right, there it goes. Yeah, it just means it wasn't lined up properly. Oh no, this is spinning inside, that's why it's not going. But 2 wasn't going in. Oh my god, you're kidding me. You use standard? Let me get some Allen wrenches. That makes sense. 2.5 wasn't fitting, and so then the 2mm was just spinning inside. Let's see if it's 2/32. Nope, smaller than that. I have no idea why they use standard. Everything should just be metric. There we go. All right, so let's see, what size is this? 3/32. Oh, I had grabbed the 7/64, so that's when it fit. So 3/32. Okay, I just placed it. There we go. RPM, make everything metric. I rarely use Imperial, which is why all of my drivers are metric. So whenever I get something like this, it's always a pain. I mean, I could buy the other tools, I just wouldn't use them much. All right, so I'm not going to drive this the whole way in, just as you can see that. I'm going to put the other 2 in there first, and then I'll worry about it. And let's see. All right. We'll get the other one. And then once the 4th one is in, then I'll start driving them all the way in. So here we go, just a little more. This is actually a very nice upgrade. All right, so that one's driven all the way in. I'm gonna go over here. I'm not gonna go in a cross pattern. Oh, what's going on with the machining in these screws? There we go. Snug is all you need. Keep in mind, this is a longer arm, so you don't want to over torque. It's easy to do with this. There we go. And that is it. Bumper. Perfect. Bumper is now installed, so at this point I can go ahead and work with the rest of the stuff. Now, if you remember from the previous video, this whole section needs replacing. That's why it's loose. There are 2 screws that go on the bottom and hold it. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I am going to install the steering. So now for the steering goes on this other side because this is where the servo is. So we're just going to drop this in place. in here. And that is it for the steering. So steering falls right in there. And then this arm goes over here. You can go ahead and put the turnbuckles in at this point. Let's see, so I'm going to shift this over there just to give me a little more space. And you're going to need your counter here. I have to flip this, I can't really see. Oh, I see. This is not straight. All right, let's move this over here. There we go. All right. Come on. No. Alright, just going to use my there goes a bushing. It's just a bushing, no big deal. We'll get in a bit. Oh, passed. This is a greater challenge than a lot easier to remove than it is to install. Mainly because this thing keeps moving. So there goes the other bushing. So there's one of the bushings. All right, let's try it again. All right, just make sure. Okay, bottom bushings are good. There's a bushing that rolled over here. It's in here. There it is. And then the other one's over here. So I'll install those later. Here, let me just try and put this in again. There. I can grab the screw, drop it in, and now I can grab my 2mm driver. And I'll tighten that. Yeah, it's easier doing it this way. Alright, now I can push this over. And there we go. I'll drop the other screw in. I'm not quite there, but if I start, there we go. As if I were threading it in, it'll start going in. All right, there it is. So let's see, bushings are in, everything's good. So now I can put the top bushings. All right, now that I have the top bushings, I'm gonna get this arm out of the way. Let's see, should I do the servo first? I don't have to do the servo first. So I can go ahead and do the brace. The brace will go here, and the brace is what holds your steering, so you need to do the brace. So that's another thing. Be careful when you remove the brace, because you can drop those bushings on the steering, or bearings if you replace it with bearings, which I highly recommend that you use bearings. So to install the brace, you just kind of bend up and then it'll slide in. That's it. So I'm going to start with the rear by putting the screw with the nut in there. So see, 2mm driver and then 5.5 nut driver on the other side. Let's try that again. Snug is all you need, don't overdo it. Oh, actually I just realized that was loose because the nut goes in there and then you don't even need a driver. Maybe somebody's been working on this thing. Alright, so these are the 4 screws that were there. The countersunk screw goes right in the middle. This is going to tie it to that other brace. So I'm going to go ahead and just get the middle one started. Let's see. There we go. So I'll get the middle one started just close. I'm not going to tighten the whole thing. And then I can go ahead and place the other screws. So I'll place all 4. The steering is what I'm going to tighten first, and then I'll tighten the other 3. So I'm going to work with the steering right now. Well, no, I'll put the other ones. It was better to do it this way. And I'll just drop the screw in there, and I'll go through the front. There we go. And there we go. Next one. Usually you want to do the steering first. I ended up doing that one accidentally. Just lost my choo-choo of thought, that's all. Alright, now I can do the front 2. And the front 2. There we go, that's the second in the front. Now I can go ahead and do these. Those are these 4 screws. I'm not going to drive them all the way in since that's going to be replaced. Well, the center diff, everything's going to be replaced here in the center at some point. But at least now in one of the videos, you can now see how to go about doing that. Why is this not threading? Now for the 2 that go on the motor mount, the motor plate, make sure you use thread lock. I'm not using it because, well, it's going to be removed. Soon, shortly, I don't know, within a week, whenever parts come in. Let's see, one more on this side. All right, now servo, we have this servo right over here. Always run power through your servo before installing it. And the reason why is you want to make sure it's in the neutral position. If it's not in the neutral position, you're going to have problems with the steering. So just make sure it's in the neutral position as this one is. And once that is good, then you can start placing the screws in. Go ahead and clean this one out just a little more. Let's see. So I'll just push this servo back a little. All right. Now, because of the way the cable is, it's pushing my servo slightly there, so I want to install the front 2 screws first. Let me go ahead and install this one. And the reason why is if you install the back ones first and then go tight on them, sometimes it'll shift the servo and you won't be able to put those screws in with ease, and that's not what you want. And the funny thing is, now my servo is actually the other way. Go. All right. Better clean this one out just a little more. And this will be the last screw. And these I can actually tighten all the way because this is the servo that's going to stay here. I'm going to go ahead and drive them. Now I'm going to walk you through the electronics. Let's see, usually there's a little mount here, and that's where your ESC would go and receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Your motor would go over here. This is the ESC that's supposed to go in it. This is a Ghoul RC. Ghoul RC, for price points, they are very, very good. They're very inexpensive and they are good for the price. That's the key thing, for the price. So if you want something that's inexpensive, this is something that you can go with. So this would just mount there. I just need to clean this surface. I'll probably put a little plate and we'll see. I need to put this on a belt sander and just sand all this stuff off. I mean, this is epoxy and that double stick stuff. It looks like somebody's tried some CA glue on it. But this is going to go in here. This thing has been so many rigs. I mean, I'm not surprised. It has all that gunk there. And that's it. I would mount the receiver on this other side. And then I would run the wires probably over this, just so they don't come near the shaft. Although you can run the wires, and this would probably be a cleaner option, below this brace. So that is a good idea. As far as the motor is concerned, the motor we can go ahead and just install right in here. So motor, you would just place the motor in here, and then you just place your screw there, and then another screw over here. Tighten the bottom one first, but not all the way. Just get it close enough, and then do the top. Stick a little piece of paper between your gears to adjust the mesh, hold it, tighten the top, and then tighten the bottom, or you can just tighten the bottom. Since the bottom is not going to cause your motor to walk, I would tighten the bottom all the way, and then I would deal with the top one. So that is it. The only thing I have next, I'm going to replace the type of screw that's going to go here on the servo, and use a little bit of thread lock, so it'll be a screw with a wide head, and then I have to tighten these two screws here to clamp the servo horn. Other than that, the RPM bumper is just 3 screws. It's going to go in here, and I should have put those 3 screws in beforehand. It's flexible enough to where it's not going to matter. But that is it for the teardown and rebuild video. Unfortunately, given the parts that we need, we're not going to be able to finish it. But I hope you found this useful, or at least interesting. Please comment below, subscribe if you have not, and I'll catch you on the next one.
Oh, my hair! My tongue! My rod!